What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. I'm excited, I'm pumped, but mostly because this is the premier Panthers podcast. I'm here with my boys. What up? That freaking Puerto Rican, Joe Riolano, hello.
Anthony Dunn, the Professor, it is a pure pleasure being in your presence this perfect evening. And
Man,
to you,
how are you feeling? How are you feeling? I know you've been down and out and back around the planet again.
Yeah, I'm back. I had a long weekend, but everything's back in order.
Word up. All right, my boy Mel Mayock, how you doing this evening?
Hey, man, I wish we were here talking about the NFC Championship coming up this weekend, but, hey, we had a great season, man. Overcame a lot. I'm excited, man. The future looks a lot better. It looks like we're not shopping at the dollar store anymore, so it's good stuff.
I like that. And no, we're not. We're at five below instead of the dollar store. We've got a tremendous show tonight, guys. After a roller coaster ride, the Carolina Panthers make their way into the playoffs. They don't back in. They win. They win the division, first back-to-back. Then you have a playoff win, get Cam's first playoff win. They go into a hostile environment in Seattle. Really put on a tough show, a tough game, a very proud performance. We're going to be breaking that down tonight, guys. Also, we're going to have Charlotte Vibe on. Get the insight info into what's going on to the locker room, the kind of atmosphere, what the attitudes of the players coming out of that loss to Seattle going in to 2015. And that is the name of the C3 podcast, on to 2015. We're also going to be breaking down the press conferences from today. Ron Rivera, Dave Gettleman, the great reveal. We'll find out who was the more interesting or who kept it close to the vest and who led on to more. I think the answer might surprise you. But before we jump into the show, guys, we've got to tell you, be sure to follow us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles and like our Facebook page, Carolina Cat Chronicles. Be sure to check out our website, CarolinaCatChronicles.com. And every Tuesday night, you've got the C3 podcast. But if you miss it, you can download it on iTunes or Stitcher, or even TuneIn Radio. So please, give us an upvote, give us a nice review while you're there. We could use the support. And great news for Amazon shoppers. You can help this small business grow by just buying stuff off of Amazon. Go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, click the Shop Amazon tab. It takes you to Amazon. You do your regular business, but they give us a little kickback for saying thank you for referring to us, referring you to them. You can help this small business grow by just buying your crap off of Amazon at no extra cost to you. And other than that, it's a good day, I think, overall for Carolina Panthers. Let's jump into the initial reactions to the loss for the Carolina Panthers. We've got about 10 minutes before our guest, Charlotte Vibe, Chris Jenkins, comes on. Joe, how are your feelings after going to Seattle, divisional playoff rounds, what I felt like putting on a tough effort and coming out falling short? How do you feel about that game?
Well, I was pleased with the effort the team put forth. There were some things that we probably could have done a lot better, some better decisions that could have been made. But I think overall we played very well. We just played a really, really good Seattle team that has a tremendous quarterback who makes very few mistakes.
Do you think that he's that tremendous, or that he just makes a couple of good plays?
I think he just doesn't make mistakes. That's the biggest thing with Russell Wilson. I think he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't do things to hurt his team.
All right.
He went to quarterback university over there, Professor. He's good.
That's right, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin Badger. We know. Guys, there's such a huge Badger following in North Carolina. Before we turn it over to Mel Mayock to get his impressions of the game, you can tweet the show at the hashtag hashtag C3 or at Cat Chronicles. I don't got the live Twitter feed tonight, guys. You know what our story is the Carolina Panthers story has been through injuries they will prevail, through court cases they will prevail. The C3 story is through technical difficulties we will prevail. So, Mel, jump in there and tell me, how do you feel? You're on the West Coast. You probably run into a lot of those sea chickens all the time while you're farther south. What's your impression of the game? How'd you feel about it?
Well, much like you and much like Joe, I was very proud of the Panthers. You think, man, we were 3-8-1 at one point, and I think on this podcast we had the sign behind you said, "Is this rock bottom?" Right? I mean, we hit rock bottom. So to come back, actually get into our second round, get further than we did last year, and to play a strong game, I think, till the fourth quarter, the wheels kind of came off. But hey, that's kind of Seattle's MO. I think at the end of the day, Seattle just has more special players. Now they're gonna be up against it in the next couple of years. They got to pay Russell Wilson. Right now he's I think a third-round pick, so his cap hit's very low. Cam Chancellor, man, what a beast! He was the difference in the ball game. Whew.
Holy moly! I don't know. Have you ever? And I was trying to think about this last night. I was hanging with our boy T Money 1993 on the Straight Facts podcast. Gave us a lot of love for giving him his first platform. And bringing it to C3 TV, our first C3, well, outside of Southbound and Down, a first C3 TV channel. We're talking about this, and can you guys name a safety that has changed the game that much on their own, or been that much of an impact by themselves?
Outside of Troy Polamalu, not really. I mean,
Joe, where you going, Sean Taylor?
I was thinking more along the lines of going back further than that, but I don't know that he made quite the same type of plays. I think he made impact in games, but not the same way necessarily. I think Ronnie Lott, he from the 49ers, he didn't necessarily block, jump over the line to block kicks or sack the quarterback, but when receivers were going across the middle, they knew that he was lurking there, and that affected the game.
I mean, Ronnie Lott, that dude chose to have his pinky amputated rather than miss the second half of a game.
Yes, that tells you a lot right there.
Tough dude.
He should have been a hockey player. Okay, this is my impression of the game, guys. I feel like the Carolina Panthers did not disappoint. While we may have been disappointed, while those players certainly were disappointed in getting the loss. We know what Ben Wickery said, Sticky Wicky said. Losing is just not acceptable to this team. But at the same time, these guys went in, they fought hard, they got hot at the right time. They go in. Look, there was no shame in Carolina's game in this. No shame. Cam Newton, we're going to talk a lot about Cam Newton tonight, but despite what people are going to say, I think Cam Newton had a better game than most people are going to give him credit for. I think that the offensive line played particularly well for a group of busted-ass Byron Bell, Mike Remmers, Trey Turner. Now, Trey Turner, I'm not saying he's busted, but I'm just saying a rookie. It's not like these guys are all pro line. They're going against a tough-ass defense, right? You got 7 rookies, and Philly Brown is playing hurt and playing a big part of this game, and you got Kelvin Benjamin, who is a rookie as well. I think what the Panthers did, while we may have fallen apart a little bit towards the end and made some mistakes, particularly the 99-yard touchdown interception return by Cam Chancellor or whatever it may be, that's a hell of a fight to go into Seattle and do that. Am I being too optimistic and too much of a homer and being that forgiving?
No, actually, I think we were being a little bit too optimistic, which we have the right to be as fans, right? I mean, that's what a fan is. We were going into this game, I really thought we had a good shot. I really did. I mean, and I still think we had a good shot. If we could have gotten a couple turnovers instead of making a couple turnovers, that would have been the difference in the game. But we played well, man. We held Marshawn Lynch in check for much of the night. We got pressure on Russell Wilson. Our defense played pretty daggone well, and our offense played pretty well. Jonathan Stewart was moving the ball pretty well, and like you say, I think Cam Newton, for the most part, played a very smart game. Had a couple of turnovers, but hey, is what it is. Moving on to 2015 now.
Okay, Joe, we got 3 minutes before I'm going to invite our guest, Chris Jenkins, on the show. Just how good is that Seattle team and Russell Wilson?
Well, I think Russell Wilson is light years ahead of Cam Newton. In one major area that he's not, I don't want to say careless, because I don't think Cam is careless. I think Russell Wilson just doesn't make mistakes, and that's where Cam has to get to, where he's not making mistakes. Now, I do put some of the offensive some of the offense bogging down. The blame can fall to some of the receivers because they dropped some passes, some pretty key passes at key moments.
Tolbert.
Yeah,
There was momentum.
That was a huge one. And
Godfrey in the beginning, both of those were kind of momentum. They were suffocating.
Yes, surely. I put some of that on them. But Russell Wilson he always seems to make the right play. I mean, on the blitz where they scored that first touchdown when he just lofted it in the end zone, that was a perfect pass. Perfect pass. And
is it a perfect pass or is it a miraculous pass, Joey? This is the thing, is that I was looking at it, and you're right, it was perfect. There is a tinge of luck to that. I'm sorry. Is that you can practice that. That was a fadeaway jump shot for 35 yards to one-handed grab to Kurtz. That's what it was. A fadeaway.
You know what they say about luck? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
There you go.
Is that right?
And that may have been what it was, but it seems that it always works out that way for him. And that is something that, that's invaluable. You really can't put a value on that. I think the defense played fantastic.
Well, I think his agent can put a value on it.
Well, I'm sure they will come up with a value. I'm sure they will. I think the defense played excellent. You couldn't ask for a better effort from those guys. They really did. There was just one or two balls here and there that if they could have got a hand on, or more of a hand on, would have been.
An impressive play in that defense, man, was Gettleman talked about it today in the presser, was that deep pass to Paul Richardson, and our boy Sticky Wicky breaking it up right in his pants there, right in his box.
It was. That was a great play.
I cannot believe. Can y'all believe they went the entire day, the entire coverage? They had Sticky Wicky covering Paul Richardson. They didn't mention anything at all about them being childhood buddies, playing Pop Warner football together.
That is strange.
Yeah.
Right after Paul Richardson hurt his knee, both of them got injured in that game.
Yeah. That was a C3 exclusive, I guess.
Yeah. Russell Wilson was miraculous. That's what it was. It was opportunistic. It was beyond just regular. It was phenomenal. And it wasn't him being good. It wasn't even him being great. It was him making these plays that they were just so fortuitous. It was insane. And we didn't have the same, Cam doesn't seem to have that same lady luck on his side.
Well, let's get him here when he's not injured in OTAs and the entire offseason. Let's see what happens.
And let's give him a little more of an arsenal to work with. The weapons he has now are limited. But let's give him a few more weapons and see what he can do. Give him a little better blocking. And, I believe he can get there. He's just not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this, is that, was I the only person that thought that? I think I'm against the grain on this, but I think that Cam Newton had actually one of his better games of the season. And where I'm going to get to this is that, you go into that place, it's a hostile environment, it's loud, things are not going well to start off with, right? And I felt like Cam Newton, he made... yes, he missed the pass.
Well,
he missed the pass, and then
he's just not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this.
Hey, Chris, is there any way? I think you might have our podcast open in another window on your browser that we can hear. There we go. All right, welcome, Chris Jenkins, Charlotte Vibe. Thanks for joining us. Can you hear us okay?
Can.
Excellent. Hello.
How's it going?
Man, we're doing great. We were just discussing Carolina Panthers going into a hostile environment, facing the Super Bowl champions, the toughest defense in the NFL at this point, the number 1 rated defense, and these guys came to play. They were laying the wood on Saturday against the Carolina Panthers. There was no hangover for them. There was no whatever you would call the bye, what it does. What it typically seemed, what it did to the Carolina Panthers last year in our defense in many ways. These guys came out to play, and we were talking about this, is that and maybe I'm overly optimistic, but we felt like the Carolina Panthers really, as a young team, went into a hostile environment and put on a very it was an impressive effort while it fell short. How do you feel? I mean, do you feel the same way? You're so close to the team. Say hello to the listeners and respond to that, Chris.
Hello, everybody. But, yeah, guys, I felt, if you guys were tuning in last week, being in that locker room, being in those press conferences, I could tell those guys were extremely focused. And I remember at one point after a press conference, Cam doesn't talk much in the locker room, but I asked him one question about this being a business trip for him, and he's like, definitely, without a doubt. So I was really excited, like, being in that locker room, seeing those guys be more focused and more business-like than I've ever seen them all week. And that's why I felt like we'd have a pretty good chance in Seattle, and we did have a pretty good chance. The things that I talked about that may hurt us are what happened, which is that Cam Newton does have a tendency to throw a ball a little to the left, a little to the right at times, and against this Legion of Boom, he cannot do that at all. He had to be pretty solid the entire game, and though he didn't make a lot of mistakes, when he did, to capitalize on it, we couldn't recover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're here with Chris Jenkins from Charlotte Vibe. This is the C3 podcast. You can tweet the show at #C3 or at Cat Chronicles. Maybe I'm on the other side of the fence on this, Chris, and I feel like the media has said that has certainly gone on to that, is that Cam Newton's mechanics not perfect. He wasn't perfect in this game, but I feel like our offense didn't lose this game. While you can look at that as you can say, yeah, that Cam Chancellor interception for a touchdown, that was the dagger, certainly. Big plays, and Russell Wilson won this game for the Seattle Seahawks, in my opinion, is that, it's not that the defense didn't get it done, but how can you stop a 35-yard fadeaway jumper with a one-handed catch? Is this just simply like, I felt like Cam had a good game overall. Yes, he made a mistake or two, and some other guys did. Am I being overly optimistic in that and or forgiving to Cam and the offense? Because we did, we're down 7 points going into the fourth quarter. We're within a touchdown within that whole game. Nothing's out of hand. The offense had some long drives. Was the offense that bad?
They made that many mistakes. Yeah, I would have to disagree with you that the offense didn't lose this game. They did lose the game. They had, I think it was 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, so that's 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers against anybody in the playoffs is just not a good thing. You don't win a turnover battle, you're probably going to lose the game. So defensively, yeah, they did pretty solid. They did a good thing. You will have plays that you can't stop, but when you have 4 turnovers or 4 turnovers, that doesn't put you in a good position to hold on to the game.
I feel like that's so forgiving of the defense. Trey Boston got burned twice. Ben A got, it was a tough play. It was miraculous.
Well, I would say, because I talked to Trey last week, you can't say my boy got burned. I would say he went for the fake. It was a good double move. And Benet, he lost the battle of the stiff arm.
Duped? Would you say he got duped then?
Yeah, we all get duped at one point in the game,
Yeah, but I guess Cam can't get duped. Joe, Joe, how do you feel about that, Joe? Does this really solely come down to the offense not being able to get it done against the number one defense? I mean, that turnovers, can you win a game when you have 4 turnovers or 3 turnover, what is it, differential? Is that the correct term?
Probably. Yeah, it would be differential. I don't think. I think it's amazing that we had 4 turnovers and we only lost by 14. I think that's pretty amazing. That's a real testament to how well our defense played. You take away those turnovers, and we could be looking at a totally different ball game. That's really what it does boil down to. There were a few plays like we talked about earlier, where if some players could have made some catches, maybe extended some drives, we could have converted those into points too. I think it does boil down to the offense just not having enough.
So you're looking at the minority.
What's that?
I totally am. I'm an apologist. I'm an apologist all day long when it comes to Cam Newton. But here's the thing also, and back to the apologies. Let me just get that back out. I'll get my, look, I'm married. I'm apologizing all the time. I feel like this is that when you get down, is that certainly you can't. I mean, you can't stop that play. There's 2 plays Russell Wilson made in that game. One was that little looper he made over CJ that I don't know how he did it. And then the big one, that one on Bene, that ball, by the way, hit the rafters in a stadium that has no ceiling. And it was going like 0.0 miles an hour. I mean, if Cam Newton threw that ball, it would have been picked off 12 times before they even got back. It just was so.
So you're saying Russell's a better quarterback than Cam?
I would say that fortune happens to be on Russell's side at the moment. But here's the thing: is that you do that and you give that big play. But before that, you're right neck and neck, and you can run a different offense. You can run an offense that is more run oriented. That isn't go 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 go, right? That isn't the need to score so immediate. And so as soon as those big plays occurred, that essentially pushes the pressure to Cam Newton. He's got to take the fall for that. But Cam Newton, we got to give him some credit. I mean, was Russell Wilson starting on the 5 and the 10 and the 12-yard line on every drive? No. And the Carolina Panthers special teams might be the real reason that this team hasn't been as good as they were last year.
Go ahead, Joe. Just 1 second. Here's some breaking news here. Adam Schefter reports Todd Bowles has taken the Jets job. Just to let you guys know.
Which, by the way, I heard today that Chris, didn't they say at the press conference that McDermott was interviewing up there at the Jets?
Yep.
Oh, that's big news.
Yep.
Yes, that's why.
So McDermott stays in Carolina?
As of right now.
Right now. So we'll call you the Puerto Rican Scoop.
I saw him checking his phone. That was real-time news there.
There you go.
Hold on a second. I think I dang messed up and pressed something crazy on my computer. I had something cool. You go ahead, Joe, and ask Chris. Ask Chris about the special teams, Joe.
Chris, what was there any mention, or is there a vibe of maybe a change coming at the special teams coach?
Was that pun intended there?
I got it too, Mel.
Right. It's kind of a Charlotte vibe. Yeah.
I believe his name's Rich Rogers. Is that his name? The special teams coach for the Panthers?
The special teams coach, I think it is. It sounds like Richard. I think that sounds right.
Yeah, Rich Rogers, I believe his name
also
is.
known as the father of the tight end for the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, okay.
I would say public opinion, Joe, is that the special teams coach job should be on thin ice. But the coaches today, they were pretty tight-lipped about any kind of personnel changes, whether they're going to be on the coaching staff or through players. So both Gettleman and Rivera were pretty much saying that things are going to be evaluated. They're not going to make any changes. Gettleman reiterated that changes to coaching staff will be done by Rivera, not through him. So it's a wait and see, but I think it should definitely be something that is on thin ice, in my opinion.
Right. Okay.
All right, let's be, and this is what I believe this is. Let me see. I think this is what Chris was.
Do you anticipate any staff changes?
That's Ron's job. That's a Ron question.
You have to say. No, don't you?
Do I have a say in Ron's staff? I can make suggestions, but he's going to make the ultimate decision, Joe, just so you know.
That's Dave Gettleman when he's asked about. In this case, I think he was asked. I just in the overall staff, he might have been asked. That might have been about the special teams at that moment. Chris, tell us this. You were there. You asked the one question that in the press conference that Dave Gettleman didn't find offensive. Dave Gettleman, by the way, gives a wonderful press conference. Ron Rivera, not so much.
Gettleman's press conference, you spend half your time trying to figure out what he's saying.
It's true.
Of course.
What's Ron's December record? I mean, it's Meshuggah. It's crazy.
It's Meshuggah. It's crazy. I mean, that's right. Is that he only gave us one Yiddish bomb in this one, and it's Meshuggah. The thing is they didn't say much about the coaching staff, Chris. Were you surprised about this? Well, not surprised that they didn't say anything. Were you surprised? We had one of the biggest Panther fans on earth, Willie P, aka Chocolate Wonderland, said this. He said, if Byron Bell and Mike Shula come back next year, I'm gonna be upset. And this guy is the biggest homer there is. I told him, I said, be prepared to be upset. Were you surprised, or should we be surprised that Ron Rivera was so supportive of his staff throughout this press conference?
No, you shouldn't be surprised. And I think with Byron, he talked about things coming down to economics today. He talked about the fact that he's a defensive-minded GM. I think there's some chance that Byron could remain on the roster, if not even start out, and then they just kind of wait and see if their new dollar store shopping will get them a replacement for them, because he's going to first focus on that defense and some free agency stuff. But no, not surprised, because Coach Rivera is definitely a coach's coach and a player's coach. So he's going to protect his guys until he's made a decision. Today he was pretty repetitive on the fact that he needs to do some more analysis before he starts making some decisions.
I felt like he was just inferring that there was going to be no changes. That's the kind of impression I got from it, was that he didn't even give us that one in Week 12 when he was assessing himself. He said, that's what he said in Week 12. It was just like, these guys are doing great towards the end. Mel, how do you feel about this? Do you feel that that Mike Shula and the Carolina Panthers, Ron Rivera, did they par hole 18 and give you enough to come back to the golf course next week?
Well, I do believe Ron Rivera is very similar to John Fox in that he is the master of telling you nothing. Chris could probably vouch for that, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to tell you a whole lot. But I do agree with the coach when he said, hey, look at what we did over the last 6 games. If you look at them at the first 10 games, as he said, he should have been kicked out on his ear. And I think some of us on this show were ready to kick him out on his ear after 10 games. But we got folks healthy. We got some speed back. We got Benet. We got Trey Boston back. We got the starting 5 that stuck with us for the last 7 games. Hey, if we'd have played the entire year like we did the last 7 games, man, I don't think anybody would be calling for any changes. So.
Well, yeah, duh.
So, well, hey, that's what he's talking about. And if the
all right, this
is
where I go. This is where I want to bang my head up against the wall when it comes to this conversation. And Ron Rivera and all of this that's why I say he's like parring hole 18 after shooting 100 on the golf course. I suck at golf. The only thing I do good at golf is drink beer while I'm out there, get drunk as hell, and then I par 18, and I'm like, I'm the best golfer. This is a great game, and I'm coming back. See, this is what happened, man. Why does it take so long for us to get clicking? Why does it? And there's so many things. Even with Gettleman, I was a little put off in this. Oh, there were so many things we didn't see coming. There were so many things. What season? What world do these guys live in where it goes right?
Well, hey, first of all, let me point out real quick, Professor, the next time I play golf, I want you there because you sound like a good guy, right?
Oh, man, I am fun and probably not who they allow to come on back to the golf course.
I think if us four played golf and the freaking Puerto Rican was driving the cart, I think we'd have a blast. So
there we go.
Let's set that up.
But tea time, nothing before 9.
Nothing before 9.
Please.
But on a serious note, man, I mean, if you had a healthy Trey Boston, a healthy Ben Wickery that was a little bit experienced, a healthy Rimmers on the offensive line, no Nate Chandler, a healthy Jonathan Stewart, we would have had a lot faster start. So maybe, I mean, give it a little bit more time. Let's see.
I want to play you I want to play you a clip with that in mind. This is Dave Gettleman today on Byron Bell.
Byron showed flashes. It's about consistency. I give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. It was his first year playing there, but again, I think we've shown that if a player, shows up that we think's going to make us better, we're going to go get him. We're going to get.
This is a long clip, but it's too good to cut short.
I mean, it's about, and again, we have to sit down and evaluate. Byron is a UFA, and I learned, fortunately not the hard way, but I learned a long time ago, especially doing the team evaluation, that if you're emotional about your decision, you're going to really do something stupid. You really will, Scott. So it's a matter of the body of work. It's the body of work. It's what he did over the season, and we're going to be, we're going to evaluate it. This nobody's getting a free pass.
Nobody's getting a free pass, Mel, and this is the reason I play this clip, and then I want to ask Chris about Byron Bell. But what you just said, you pointed to Trey Boston. You pointed to Ben Wickery. You pointed to Mike Rimmers. You know who these guys are? Dudes you should not have to depend upon in their first season with the Carolina Panthers.
But you know who they also are? They're people that Gettleman found in the dollar store.
After he let Cam get in his first car wreck for the first 8 weeks.
He let him?
Okay.
Well, my 2 cents is I think that you gave Cam a lot of leeway there with his performance in Seattle, that you can give the team a little leeway with all the adversity that they had to deal with at the start of the season with the injuries.
Hey, we need Chris on here every week.
With that, I mean, just looking at how many running backs we had this year. At one point, I think it was either 3 or all 4 of them were out, and we had guys coming off the streets to play running back and start.
Yeah. They were looking at you, weren't they, Vibe?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got more speed than Kotri and Avant.
Last year, I think he had more speed than Ted Ginn Jr. Ginn was afraid of him.
Scared. All right, with that, okay, I guess my point is this, is the whole point that I'm making here is that what I don't like is that when Gettleman and Rivera come back to the injury issue, certainly things did not go. Certainly we didn't want Greg Hardy to punch that girl in the face. Certainly we didn't.
That's allegedly.
Allegedly, right? We didn't want all these things. The guns part was not alleged, though.
Right.
And by the way, I think he should come back because, gosh, he's paid his penance. He might have to play. Well, we'll talk about it later. But
he's not coming back.
How sure are you
don't say it. You asked about it today. Now you're acting like I'm insane for saying it. I heard you ask about it.
You guys made me.
We did. We appreciate it.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying with this whole thing is that you're asking everything to go perfectly, and then when things don't go perfectly and it's a struggle, you're like, well, it didn't work out like we planned.
Wait a
I don't
minute.
think you're asking for it to
That
go
sounds like
perfect.
that sounds like you talk about Cam Newton.
Oh, now you're down taking sides.
Well, I mean, look at just your everyday life. You wake up in the morning and you have a plan of what's going to go on. You know, you got to get the kids ready. You got to feed them breakfast, get them off to school and daycare, right? Well, you get up and you go out to the car to start and you got a flat tire. That wasn't in your plans, so you got to adapt and overcome, right?
Never expected to smother your kid with a pillow, did you? Ah, they drive you crazy, don't they, Joe?
But you know what I'm saying? That's kind of like what the Panthers did. They woke up and they were getting ready, and they go outside and the tire's flat. You know. Greg Hardy.
With Byron Bell, is this, since you are the guy that is dropping these puns and the metaphors, Joe? Is Byron Bell the flat tire?
Byron Bell is not our future.
You know
left
that was
tackle.
good. Okay. Chris, will he be back next year?
I think it's a pretty fair chance. I give him 50-50.
You guys are going to be surprised since I forgive on Cam and I'm hard on everybody else. I think Byron Bell should come back next year. I think that the reason he should come back is, first, you can tell Byron Bell he's not worth but so much money. No other team, and if some other team goes and pays him, I would be really surprised if they paid him something particularly significant beyond what we could. And I don't think at 25 that we're going to be able to get a left tackle in the draft that can make an impact.
Man, we had bad news on that front this week. I don't know if we're going to get.
Yeah, Cedric.
Tell me, was that who Gettleman referenced today when he said when he was talking about Texas?
Yeah, that was Cedric Ogbuie. He's gone, and then Ronnie Stanley, the guy I wanted at 25 out of Notre Dame, decided he's going back to school. Bad.
See, you're not going to get a left tackle at 25 that's going to make a difference, immediate impact that's going to be better than Byron Bell. So why not, pay him a little bit and draft a guy in the second round or third round that you're going to put at right tackle with the hopes of moving to the left, hopefully, in the future. So I think Byron Bell comes back. There's a lot of there's not as many questions, though, on this team. One thing I thought is that you're talking about how about this? Here's a clip from, let me see if I can get it right here. Here's a clip that I was surprised that the conversation went this way, and Chris brought up the running backs.
Where do you stand with him moving forward?
Well,
This
again,
is referring to D'Angelo.
That I need to talk to D'Angelo. I really do. He's a pro's pro. He really is, and he had a tough season. I mean, the obvious loss of his mom, which was very, very difficult, and just I just double checked my whole card. He only played 6 games this year. It was tough for him, and I'm gonna before I say anything, I just know he's a pro's pro, and the way he finished the season, he finished it like a man, and I'm proud of the way he finished it.
I got a translation for that.
Probably accurate too. Go for it.
The translation is he's either going to restructure and come back on the cheap, or we're parting ways.
That's exactly right.
What do you think, Chris, about that? I know you got to run in about a few minutes.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be pretty hard for D'Angelo to come back, because what that conversation should be like from Gettleman is we got to sign you at a lot less money and a lot less role. And the rumors were that D'Angelo started so many times because of his ego of being that franchise running back. And I'd be pretty shocked if that alleged ego goes to say, hey, sure, I'll come on after Fozzie, or I'll be a role player.
Right.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to step back. So allegedly, is he that interested in? Is that important to him holding that status? Allegedly.
I haven't personally seen it, but hearing it and seeing how things have played out, knowing he's a leading rusher, I don't see him wanting to just relax.
No.
It's
Well,
hard.
he certainly did. Uh, no, and and you guys I'm a big D'Angelo Williams fan, and the fact that I went to East Carolina University, wearing my Pirate gear right now, and we played Memphis when he played in college, and that guy set NCAA records from scrimmage. He is amazing. And I thought that the Carolina Panther fans, and even when Chud was in there, gave up on D'Angelo too early. And every time they gave up on him, he showed that he still had gas left in the tank. But what Jonathan Stewart showed this year is that if he's healthy, he's more of an effective running back. I thought this, though, am I the only one, is by making this such a big deal about, if his ego is so allegedly so big, if this is so important to him, is this a backhanded jab, a slap at Steve Smith? The pro's pro. He's the guy that handles everything right. We're going to part ways on the right terms. That type of, am I the only one? And maybe we read into this too much, but that's what happens when you only talk once a year. Is that crazy, Chris, to say that was a little jab? Because I believe you guys shifted the conversation directly to Steve Smith after that.
Yeah, Scott Fowler did, but no, I don't think it's a jab. I mean, they're two completely different guys, so you would have to refer to them in two completely different ways.
Okay.
Don't go trolling.
I'm not trolling. I'm just saying. I don't remember him emphasizing how much of a pro Steve Smith was. But, man, all of a sudden, D'Angelo Williams is the best dude ever.
Hey, maybe that's reality there, Professor.
Okay.
But, hey, I got two questions for Jenkins before he has to head out for you, if I can jump in. You mind?
Please, go.
All right. Hey, one question. You were quick, Chris, to say Greg Hardy's not coming back next year. What tells you that? Because, I got excited when I heard Greg Hardy writing on the whiteboard in the Panthers locker room saying he loves these guys and he wants to be back. He's willing to play for free next year to make it up to Carolina. If he's found innocent, is there any chance that he's coming back?
I say we made it to the playoffs without him. We're back-to-back NFC South champs. That's a ton of money. I like drafting defensive guys anyway, and I'm talking from Gettleman's perspective. I got some other guys that I think would be pretty good. I just don't think I need the media attention and headache again this year. Last year was enough of that stuff. Let's get a little bit of quietness going into 2015.
But have you heard anything from Panthers brass saying they're walking away from the situation?
No, I mean, Rivera talks about how much he wants him. So, but brass-wise, no, you haven't heard much.
Okay. All right. And then the second question for you is, with the disheartening loss, right? And I agree with the professor. We gave it a valiant effort, right? I think we just got out talented at the end. Have you talked to any players after the loss? And what's the mood? What's the energy for next year with these players that you talked to?
I laugh so much because one thing I'll admit to you guys, I didn't go to the season-ending player checkout. I wasn't in the mood for it. And it was a Sunday. It was a Sunday at 1 o'clock. But
I love the note that you sent me today saying that you were there at the presser, but it was cold and rainy outside. You weren't really in the mood to ask questions.
It was freezing in there. There was a ton of people. But, okay, so as far as talking to the guys after the game.
Let my ass up in there. Let me up in there. I'll be busting up in there with my raincoat on.
Here's my drink out there.
The interactions I've had, you guys will probably find hilarious and not of great journalistic content. I texted Philly Brown yesterday. He was in Ohio State. I'm sorry, he was in Dallas. That was all he had to say.
Okay. Yeah.
And earlier today, Charles Johnson, Addison, and a few other defensive linemen took a private jet down to Miami. So that's all I know from the guys and what they've been doing.
So they're feeling rich, is what they're feeling.
They are.
Okay. Chris said this. He had some ideas about what could be options outside of Greg Hardy because it doesn't seem like he's coming back. Dave Gettleman was asked about free agency today, and he said, "Hey, we got more money to spend than." He was a little bit more He was a little loose with the wallet more so, but this is what he had to say
I
about
think he's going to move up in class. I didn't say we're gonna go out and spend big money on a player.
Pause.
You guys know my
Deep
philosophy.
breath.
I believe in the front. I believe that you listen.
Come on,
Again,
Dave.
If you can't stop
Get
the
to
run,
Get it out,
you're
buddy.
going to get the opportunity to rush the passer.
All right.
And whether
I'm going to
anybody-
stop the clip because I know Chris has to go, and I want to ask you this. Does this suggest, if anything, that Jason Pierre-Paul might be the guy that Dave Gettleman is going to stun us with rather than somebody on the offensive side of the ball through free agency?
It's a possibility. I give you it's a possibility because again, when I asked him about the draft upcoming, he said he likes 3 different positions: defensive end, wideouts, man, I forget, and maybe some linemen. But he said his first step is. Say it again, Mel.
He said offensive tackle, wide receiver, and defensive end. We're strong.
Yeah. And so he said first step, even before the draft, is free agency. So I still kind of think with a lot of guys, he's just going to wait and see what happens with free agency. I don't think we're going to make any quick moves to see what pops up.
Okay. I know you got to go, so tell everybody what's going on with Charlotte Vibe this week and how they can follow you.
You guys can always stay tuned to me on any social media, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just Google Charlotte Vibe. You'll find me on there. This week, not too much going on. Just got a bunch of Hornets games that we're going to be covering on Wednesday and Saturday. And appreciate you guys once again having me on the show, even though I gave you a hard time. I don't know if I'm going to be invited back.
Oh, hell no. That's what we want. That's what we want.
That's right.
Hey, Chris, not only because you gave the professor a hard time, but you are my favorite Panthers reporter. So thank you very much for coming on tonight. Glad to have you.
I vow to you guys that both Rivera and Gettleman will address me by my first name next year. I'm not going to have one more season where they don't call me by my name.
Nice.
I don't know
Nice.
if that's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
No, it's not when it comes to Bill and the golden boy, Jonathan Jones, because Gettleman loves some Jonathan Jones. But it ain't so good when it comes to Joe Person, man. Gettleman, every time Joe Person talks, Gettleman's like, damn it, Joe.
I think he should just call you Vibe, though, Chris.
Yeah.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah.
How
Hey,
good
call
is
it Vibe,
how
Vibe.
good is Kimba? How good is Kimba Walker?
Oh, he's the man.
Yeah, Kimba's definitely looking like a great choice. You know, way back when we had, man, I can't forget the little guy from Texas. What was his name? Help me out, guys.
I don't know.
AJ or DJ Augustine.
There you go, DJ Augustine.
Hey, a good Hornets question for you. All right, are the Panthers better without Big Al?
The
Are the
Panthers,
Hornets-
the
are the
Hornets.
Are the Hornets better without Big Al?
No. Kimba's just getting a chance to be the ball hog that he likes to be, so he's not going to have gas to run at this pace the whole season.
Are they better without Lance Stevenson?
Yes. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, they shouldn't be. He should be better. He sucks.
At this point, they are better without Lance, but he's going to be inserted back into the lineup tomorrow night versus the Spurs.
That's right.
Really?
That's
Wow.
right.
I think him and the Kraken should make a rap album together.
Right on.
You guys aren't going to make me ask that question. Please don't do it.
Oh, did you hear we had Sticky Wiki on the show?
I did.
And he opened up like a book to us. We call him Mr. Sticky Wiki now. We had a great opportunity. Man, Chris Jenkins, Charlotte Vibe, everybody go check it out for all the hottest stuff going on in Charlotte, not even just limited to just
sports.
straight Panthers and sports. These guys get it all. That's what I check out before I go to Charlotte. So thanks, Chris, for joining us.
Absolutely, guys. Enjoy your evening.
Yeah, you too,
All right.
man.
Here, buddy.
Cam's awesome. Okay. All right, fellas. We had a great guest with Chris Jenkins. We've still got a lot to talk about because we kind of went on a little rant, and it just seemed a little.
Which one's December record? I mean, it's Meshuggah. It's crazy.
It was crazy.
Stupidest thing I ever heard.
Stupidest thing I ever heard.
That's what I wanted you to play that when he said Greg Hardy wouldn't be back. I wanted you to play. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
If I wouldn't have had those technical difficulties, I would have been on it. You got to give me we got to come up with some signs like baseball signs.
Baseball signs.
Okay, I think we need to. What should we talk about now, guys? Because I still got some things to talk about in the presser. Specifically, let me see what I got here. What do you think about that? Does Dave Gettleman go after? Is Jason Pierre-Paul? Does he do something like that? Giants, Jason Pierre-Paul, free agents.
Let me ask you this. Okay, this was an open mic question today. Was the Kraken? Should we bring him back or not? He said no. Ron Rivera wants the Kraken. I want the Kraken if he's found not guilty. I don't know that he'll ever be able to be found innocent, but he can be found not guilty of the domestic violence. But my point is this.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Would you rather have Greg Hardy lining up for your Carolina Panthers, or would you rather have Greg Hardy lining up for the Atlanta Falcons twice a year against your Carolina Panthers?
Great question.
I feel like we should start a telethon right now to pay Greg Hardy to not play for the Atlanta Falcons, just so we don't have to hear Scott Karasik.
Oh Lord.
Scott Karasik and the Kraken. Imagine the Jew and the wife beater making an album together.
I'm good for $5,000. All right. All right, check right now, baby.
The check's in the mail. He said, "I'll put in my PayPal account. Be instant."
Yeah.
Here, let me throw this at you too. Okay.
What about a sign and trade, Joe?
As long as it's outside of the division, I would be okay
The Raiders.
with that.
Sign and trade to the Raiders, maybe. Yeah.
I would be fine with that.
The dude wants to be.
I don't even think that is available. We got a comment here on YouTube. I wasn't even paying attention. Guys, if Greg Hardy is found not guilty, chances are the Panthers will try to re-sign him to a long-term deal. That's what YouTube comment coming in says.
From who?
I got it. Shakid Bartal.
Oh, okay. Okay, I know Shakib.
So do I. The point being, I think, is this. What about this, Joe? I put this up on the open mic. Say Greg Hardy's found guilty. Okay?
Okay.
And he's been semi-suspended for an entire year. I feel like, hey, even if he, no offense, punched that girl in the face and threw her in a pile of guns, and allegedly did that, but if he did and he was found guilty, what action would the NFL need to take for him to be back in the league? I don't feel like it. I mean, is he like Pete Rose where he's like banned?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
But my question is, he hasn't technically been suspended yet. Would he, if he's found guilty, still suffer punishment?
Yes.
More?
Yes, I think so.
Could he just pay it and play it?
No, I think there'll be a fine, a significant fine, and I think there will be some games lost. Now, because he has sat out 15 games, I don't think that they'll make him sit out a whole nother year. I would say probably 6 to 8 games at most.
It's 6. It's 6. It is 6. That's the policy. 6.
Okay. Then I would say at least 6 games, in addition to a big fine.
That's double jeopardy. Mel, do you think that would be over punishment?
Well, let me say something. If you want the short answer, I would say no. All right. The long answer is this: I believe in forgiveness. All right. I ain't perfect. You ain't perfect. We all screw up, right? No matter how bad the offense, right? But if he's not in jail and he's allowed to work out and go out for a living and work for a living, I don't care if he's found guilty, right? I mean, what he did was atrocious, but you know what? He's allowed to go try and pursue work. And if you can write it into his contract, if he screws up, he's out, and he pays you back the money.
Or forfeits.
He has a right to earn a living, period. If he's not in jail, he's got a right to work. So I think the Panthers should take him back under the right contractual circumstances. Now, I think he would get a 6-game suspension. On the other hand, I don't think he got it too hard this year. He didn't play 15 games, but he got paid $13 million for recording rap music. So he didn't get it too bad.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really get anything hard. He got other than like a hard-ass vacation.
So bring him back next year, sign him to a minimum contract for 1 year, prove it, and then 6-game fine without pay. Let him earn his way back. Give him a shot. Let him earn his money. I think he's willing to do it.
Okay. All right. Let's jump into just a quick point before Charlotte Vibe is going to be at the Charlotte Hornets games this week. If you need tickets to a Hornets game or any sporting event, a concert, make sure you get them through Ticketmonster. This is a site that is phenomenal, guys. We use it ourselves. Cheap tickets, no fees. This was created by fans for fans. So just go to Carolina Cat Chronicles, go to our website. We've got a link. You go to the schedule tab, you click buy tickets. It takes you to Ticketmonster. You get your tickets. No fees. None. Have you been to Ticketmaster? You go and buy tickets. Or even StubHub. You go and buy tickets, and before you know it, you're like, hey, this is a $150 ticket, and you check out, and it's $212. So, look, you don't have those problems when you go to Ticketmonster. By the way, on top of that, you can help C3 grow. CarolinaCatChronicles.com grow by going to Ticketmonster and buying your tickets. It's awesome. It hooks everybody up. Al, buy me a ticket while you're there. I'll go with you. And I might even pay my own way. Joe, I want to ask you this. Off-season need. Let's talk about this. I'm going to give you guys, both of you, Mel, Joe, I'm going to give you guys a statement with a blank in it, and you got to fill in the blank. The Carolina Panthers need blank to help Cam reach his maximum potential. Joe, go with that. They need a deep breath and a sigh.
I love that about Joe. I love that.
I know. He never rushes his answers, which is important.
Cam needs another receiving threat to reach his maximum potential. He's got to have somebody that can stretch the field so that he can make better use of Kelvin Benjamin and Greg Olsen.
Sounds a lot like Sammy Coates out of Auburn.
Thank you.
Yep.
He needs Sammy Coates out of Auburn.
There you go.
Well, Mel, I mean, you better give a better answer than that. Mel, the Carolina Panthers need blank to help Cam reach his maximum potential, and now the answer Sammy Coates has been taken.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, the two things he needs playmakers and he needs protection. You watch Byron Bell, and you know what? I like Byron Bell as a person. I wish it would have worked out, but man,
I'm left-handed. I am left-handed.
Yeah, I mean, what, 11% of the people are left-handed? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Somebody told me that means you're partially retarded. Jackass, I was registering from classes, and he told me I was partially retarded. You know what I did? I put them all in 8 o'clock classes. Fucker. Oh, sorry.
You know, I think my mother watches this show.
My bad. I'll put her in a 9:30 class.
All right, I don't know. I'm looking here.
He needs another big hog molly that can protect him up front. All right, he needs it. He needs it. When he has time, he's on the money. But when he's pressured, he starts pressing, he gets out of the pocket and starts making his mechanics break down, etc. But you give him somebody like, Andrus Peat. Hey, I mean, that guy's going to take a year to fully develop out of Stanford. But you give him somebody like that, 6'7", 315, that's athletic, that can dunk the ball behind his head. Somebody like that can play left tackle, sky's the limit, man.
Joe, if we give that guy to Cam Newton, will he not let Cam Chancellor jump over his damn head?
Yes, if we put him at center on the special teams, long snapper.
Was that not the most ridiculous thing ever? Did anybody... I was talking about this with Straight Facts last night, is that if Cam Chancellor jumped over my head and made a fool out of me...
He ain't doing it twice.
Yeah,
Right.
Dang right. I would miss my block. I would miss my block to buy... What's a good wrestling move, Mel?
Choke slam.
RKO.
I will RKO that dude and miss a block and take a false start all in the process. Sorry. That was some messed up stuff.
All they had to do was change the snap count. If they would have changed the snap count, that would have taken care of the problem.
Back to the special teams coach.
Yeah, exactly. That's all they had to do was change the snap count.
What is so hard about that? I mean, sometimes I want to eat a chicken sandwich, but every now and then I order a salad. I mean, what the hell is so hard about saying hut?
Chicken parm tastes so good, though.
Okay. Joe, this goes to you. The Carolina Panthers will need to draft blank to get to the Super Bowl.
We'll need to draft an offensive lineman of significant caliber to get to the Super Bowl.
What? That's not going to help. Just one? I mean, what are we going to have to trade up?
I didn't say when they had to draft him. I just said they had to draft him.
Okay. All right. Disagree. Now, Carolina Panthers will need to draft blank to get to the Super Bowl.
Kevin White out of West Virginia.
You know whose boy that is?
Who's that?
Mr. T Money. He loves some Kevin White.
Well, I mean, that dude is 6'3", 210 pounds of pure man that knows how to run every single route in the route tree. That dude is the real deal. If he's there at 25, I am driving to Chicago and making the pick myself. Get him, and I had to get out the way.
What about your boy from Arizona State?
He ain't as good as White.
Really?
No, I take Strong in the second round, but not in the first.
Can I answer this?
Please.
No. The Carolina Panthers will need to draft Urban Meyer to get to the Super Bowl.
That's a load of crap, because I was going to say an offensive coordinator, but you can't say that.
Can't say a coach? I mean, what did he just do, man? He just did the unthinkable.
Hey, Professor, it's your show. You can say whatever you want, buddy.
It was unthinkable. What happened last night? Ohio State beating Oregon,
that was
trouncing them. Maybe they just beat them down because they wore a uniform that had no color to it.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Why are you gonna go into the highly touted game? Like, how many millions of people are watching that, and you don't even wear a uniform that's got your team colors on it?
Good point.
I mean, I guess White is in. It's before Labor Day or whatever. I guess you're still okay.
Three girls back in on this conversation.
Okay. All right.
Ruben and Abby, if you're out there, let us know what you think.
All right. How about this? Is last one of these, Joe? If we don't sign Greg Hardy, he will sign with blank.
He will sign with Atlanta because they need a pass rusher bad.
All right. Mel, if we don't sign Greg Hardy, he will sign with blank.
He'll sign with Tampa Bay because they got a lot of money in that cap space, man. Lovie Smith would love him some Kraken.
Man, he's going to go in the division. All right. My answer to this question is if we do not sign Greg Hardy, he will sign with Rockefeller Records.
I knew you were going to say that. I was going to say Death Row.
Yeah, that's better. All right. Okay. I got.
You're proud of that one, aren't you?
Well, that's why we're brothers. I want to say this is. I did have something else I want to do. Is this? Backdoor fiction.
Hey, I got a question for you, Professor. Is it fact or fiction that was recorded down in the freaking Puerto Rican's basement one night when you guys were drinking?
Fraction. Okay, fact or fiction? Mike Shula is going to be the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. Joe, go.
I think it's a sad fact.
All right. Why do you think that is?
Because I think that the team came on enough at the end of the year to just enough for him to keep his job.
Mel, fact or fiction? Mike Shula.
That's a fact. The reason I think so is Ron Rivera has his strengths and his weaknesses, and one of his weaknesses is he is extremely loyal. And he's loyal to the coaching staff.
Yeah, I agree. Is that I think this is fact. In some ways, though, I had a good clip, and I wanted to play. In fact, I might, if we got just enough moment to get through this, is let me see if it goes. I think one of the things that I was interested in is that Dave Gettleman was very open today in the press conference about Ron Rivera.
We talked so much it was frightening.
He's talking about when they were doing bad.
It's really, I mean, we knew, you guys know, we did not know each other before we had this blind date. The day after I got the job, we have our blind date. We did not know each other. We had two people that knew both Ron and I. And I mean, Ron did a hell of a job, and we talk all the time. We talk all the time, and we're honest with each other. It's a crazy concept, We're honest. If I'm not happy with something he's doing, I tell him. If he's not happy with something I've done, he tells me. And we look at it, we discuss it. Doesn't happen very often, frankly, but we talk all the time, and there's no agendas, there's no secrets.
He said they're together, ride or die brothers. Mel, were you a little surprised about how open he was about being behind him and Ron Rivera's fate being tied together?
Well, you opened the show talking about which one of the press conferences would give away more than the other. I got a lot out of Gettleman's press conference.
He's always super honest, isn't he? He's just he's pretty cool. I like him.
Yeah. I wish he would speak more like Joe talked about earlier in the season. I wish he was out there in the middle of the year talking. But, man, when he
does
talk...
December record, I mean, it's Meshuggah. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
What is Meshuggah?
It means it's crazy in Yiddish.
Oh, look at you breaking it up. All right.
Where's Scott when you need him?
Yeah, where's Scott when you need him? He's eating his gefilte fish right now.
That's right, exactly right.
Okay, so you were saying Dave Gettleman was open about this. Tell us. Keep going. Sorry for interrupting, Meshuggah.
I'm sorry. What was your question?
It was, were you surprised that he was so blatantly, or so, I guess, clear that him and Ron Rivera's fate were intertwined and tied together, even though they didn't know each other? He seemed like they were like, hey, we're in this together.
You know what? I think that's very cool, man. That's something I've always admired about him is, I've always had the fear of him coming in and then bringing in Tom Coughlin. That's been the elephant in the room for me. But the fact
I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah, but the fact that he didn't have such an ego that he was willing to give Rivera a chance and really listen to him and see how it goes. And now he's hitched his wagon to him. I think it's pretty cool. I think the man deserves a lot of credit for that.
Joe Riolano, fact or fiction? And I'm making this one up off the top of my head. Cam Newton will sign with the Carolina Panthers for more than $50 million guaranteed next year.
I think that's fact. I think he's going to be
52. Is 52 what Cutler got? 54?
I think that's right. I think 52 is right. I was thinking for Cam somewhere around 55.
Wow.
That's what
now, how do you feel about that? Is that fact or fiction above?
Well, you guys have not read it yet, but I think you need to see the open mic question for tomorrow. It comes out 8 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow morning, talking about should we Cam or not to Cam, and for how much. And I think, I don't think he's going to get more than 50 guaranteed. I think that's fiction. I think he'll get a big contract, a good healthy amount guaranteed. I don't think he's going to get more than 50. I don't think Mr. Meshuggah is going to break loose on the checkbook
He's not going to go that crazy. Mr. T. Money's chanting here. He's got a lot to say here. Fact, Shula will be back. When it comes to the Kraken, we need a long talk with the Kraken. He should be a top priority, Mr. T. Money said. And last, DG and Ron are how a GM and coach should be, unlike most organizations.
Well, hey, since you're giving Twitter shout-outs there, I got to give a shout-out to follower Abby, who says that he should get a fine and time served and be ready to play Week 1 next year.
Wow, what's his fine going to be, $13 million?
Heck no.
That's to be.
What was it I was going to say about that is did you see Ron Rivera in the press conference today? And he said, they were talking about if he was excited about the future. He said, of course, can't you tell I'm excited? And,
hey, the one thing
he was like, of course, can't you tell I'm excited? It's like the most unexcited look ever.
One thing I liked about his press conference, just one, only one, and that was him saying he was referring to this past season as last year. I mean, that was just 3 days ago we had that game. 3 days.
He put that in the rear view right away.
Yeah.
He put that in the rear view.
Yeah, he's already in there breaking it down, talking. Just what's the title? What's the title of our podcast?
On to 2015.
That's his philosophy.
He said this. He said, "I've been doing a lot of work." I was like, "Damn!" Like we just got done. Look at this. Look at this. We got a lot of action going on YouTube. Justin Hardy.
Sir. Punt return answer. Get rid of Sunshine.
I don't think he's really that good at punt returns, even though he doesn't get a lot of yards. Tackle. He does catch the ball though. All right. We got to get out of here, but we got one more segment to get to, guys. And because we've had so many technical difficulties, it's going to take me a minute to get to it. Good Lord. And it is time for the Ice Up segment of the week, where we, C3 Podcast, tells the world, Panther Nation, anybody else who's listening, who needs to toughen up, who needs to ice up. Joe, you got a pick ready, or should we go to Mel?
I got one ready.
All right, go for it. Fire away.
My ice up pick this week goes to general manager and I guess director of football operations or some crap like that of the Denver Broncos, Mr.
We gotta talk about this for a half second. Go ahead.
Mr. John Elway. You let go of John Fox, who had a 71 win percentage. 71 win percentage in the few seasons he was there in Denver. I think he was well liked by Peyton Manning. And now you've let him go.
Because they didn't ever talk to him.
And you've let him go, and I think Peyton Manning's going to go along with him. So you're going to be stuck with Brock Osweiler,
Woo!
power forward that is playing quarterback in the NFL. So to you, Mr. John Elway, for the poor move that you have made, I wonder if you're going to try to get in there and coach the team yourself. I say, ice up, son.
Ice up, son. Here, Joe, did you hear what he said? He was giving props to John. He said he wanted to give the coach credit and say thank everybody for a good season, and he said John Elway instead of John Fox.
There you go.
He thanked himself for a good season.
Going third person.
How about this? This is the other good thing about this is in the press conference I guess it was today, whenever it happened, John Elway says this. He said because he wasn't fired, he resigned, right? They reached a mutual agreement, and this was the agreement that they had differing visions of how the team could get to the next level. Well, duh, John Elway thought that John Fox could get up to the next level. And John, of course, we had different visions. I thought that John Fox was not the guy. Okay, Mel, you got a ice up pick this week?
I did, but did you see where John Fox already has an interview lined up?
Yeah, Chicago Bears, baby.
Chicago. That's it.
Oh, okay. He declined the Falcons, right? That's kind of cool of him to not want to come back into.
Oh, that would have sucked. That would have sucked.
Nah,
pretty much.
He's not that good of a coach. All right.
I think he's a pretty good coach.
He's a veterans coach. He's a veterans coach. That's what he is.
But I do have an ice up son pick here. All right.
All right.
You know, I'm a little bit older than you guys. I remember when this certain guy was a reporter for the Dallas Cowboys, who I was a fan of growing up before the Panthers. Right. I switched to the Panthers when we played them in the '96 playoffs, and Barry Switzer said he didn't know where Charlotte was. That's when I made the hard cutoff. I went from Dallas to the Panthers. But Skip Bayless was the beat writer for the Dallas Cowboys. He's gone on to national AP writers and his own show, that type of thing. But that jackass this week actually said after the game last night that Cardale Jones, after 3 starts in the NCAA, that he is already better than Cam Newton.
Oh, my.
Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless says Cardale Jones is already better than Cam Newton.
The dude that from
Ohio
State?
Yeah. So let me say, Cardale Jones from Ohio State is a good player. I like him. 6'5", 250.
We don't really know, though.
3 games. 3 games. That's right, Professor. That's where I'm coming from. So, it makes me mad. That just kind of feeds into the whole why Cam Newton? Why does he say Cam Newton?
Ice pick.
Why doesn't he say he's better than Jay Cutler? Why doesn't he say he's just...
I hate Skip Bayless. You know what is? I used to kind of like him like 8 years ago, but he sucks.
He sucks, man. Skip Bayless, ice up, son.
Ice up, Skip Bayless.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
Terrible.
You guys know that all night long I've been salty. And I'm just going to continue it right here with my ice up pick of the week. Because I am a parent of...
Go ahead.
I'm a parent of 3 kids. I can do this, folks. My ice up son pick of the week goes to a 12-year-old boy in Oklahoma named Cade Pope. That's right. A boy who wrote every team a letter saying, please court me as a fan. Right? Now, okay, that's kind of cool. 12-year-old kid writes this letter that says, I'm from a state that doesn't have a professional football team. I'm shopping. I'm a free agent. I'm a free agent fan. All right? So what happens? Who steps up? The only team out of 32, the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
The big cat himself writes him a handwritten response telling him he would love to have Cade as a Carolina Panther fan and listing a bunch of reasons essentially why. Man, this is a great gesture. The owner of a team, the primary owner of a team, writes this 12-year-old boy. It's not an intern response, none of this, right? No. Big Cat, does he stop there? No. He sends him a helmet signed by Luke Kuechly. A replica helmet, Joey, by the way, that we were just talking about this and how much a replica helmet costs, A, and it's signed by the best linebacker in the NFL, B. This kid, dream come true, right? Love this story, right? Then the news asks him, who's he going to cheer for? He said, well, if nobody else sends me anything, if nobody else contacts me, I guess I'll be a Carolina Panthers fan. So this goes to you, you little trick-ass 12-year-old.
Jesus.
Come on, man. They gave you a great gift. They gave you a great gift. And you, if I was this kid's parent, I would smack him right upside the back of the head. Back of the head and said, say thank you and be a damn Carolina Panthers fan. And don't wait for a prettier date to come and ask you out. So this goes to you, Cade Pope. Ice up, son. And that goes to your parents, too.
Hey, Professor, I think there's some hungry children in Africa that you could tee up next week. All
right.
Holy crap.
Sorry. Not sorry. I'm not sorry. Tell that little kid is sorry and get some damn manners.
Salty.
Told you.
Oh, crap.
All right. This is the C3 podcast every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock where you can catch the hottest Panther fan talk out there. Joe, tell everybody how they can catch you next week.
All right, this is the freaking Puerto Rican proud member and founder of CarolinaCatChronicles.com. On Twitter, you can find me at Joe Riolano. I'm excited about this off season. We've got some really interesting stuff going on the website. Mel64 is a true work of art. Check it out if you have a chance. And it will be. I'm sure we'll be releasing an edited version of that not too long from now. Right, Mel?
We will. Absolutely. I mean, this is a big week for that.
Sorry, we got to fly to Oklahoma and tee up this 12-year-old first.
Hey, I think there is a little girl that's struggling with her ability to walk up in, like, New York State. Maybe we could go bang on her a little bit.
I was actually thinking we get that kid. I was thinking we get that little kid that's loosening up his arm and go teach that kid.
All right.
Now we're talking.
Mel, tell them how they can find you and get after you this week.
All right. Well, hey, I'm at Panthers Drafter on Twitter. Pretty active out there. I'm the Panthers analyst for Draft Tech, where there's always a new mock draft coming out. But as the freaking Puerto Rican pointed out, working on that Mel 64 out there on catchronicles.com. Happy to be doing that. The Thursday, which is the 15th, is the final day for college players to announce whether they're going pro or not. So there's going to be a lot of updates after the 15th on my ranking. It's pretty disappointing to hear my boy Ronnie Stanley, who I was hoping to get at 25, is going back to school. He should have been my Ice Up Son pick. Come on out to the Panthers. Ice Up Son. But, man, we lost two good tackle prospects. But, hey, I'm proud of Carolina Cat Chronicles. Joe, you said you were a founder. You've been with it since day one. I shamelessly had to come in and buy my way into the action and be a part of it. But what I love about Cat Chronicles and being a part of what you two guys started is there's fresh fan perspectives every day out there on catchronicles.com. Go check it out, man. Be a part of the action. Be a part of the open mic. If you want to write an article, if you want to have your voice heard, let us know, man. That's what we're here for. We're the platform for the voice of Panther Nation.
That's exactly right.
Man, he's teaching it. He gave a lesson. This is the professor a.k.a. Tony Dunn from CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can check us out every Tuesday night for the C3 podcast, which is, by the way, taking over, folks. This is it is the premier Carolina Panthers fan podcast out there. You can check the professor out on Fridays on Pirate Radio 1250, where we be pumping the Panthers up as well. But, man, jump in there, let your voice be heard, and make sure, folks, to keep pounding. And when you walk past a little 12-year-old kid in the aisle, just give him a little nudge. That is it, folks. Good night.